What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Realms of Metal. Eddie here, back with you from my happy place, my metal room here in the woods in PA. What's going on, man? It is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. If you don't have a Valentine, then do what you got to do. I get it. It's Valentine's Day. Have a good time. What are we doing? We're gonna do another Rank the Records today, and we're gonna do the Mighty Nuclear Assault. It's a band that we've been throwing around here on the channel here or there, and I was always a big fan of Nuclear Assault, and I got to see him 3 times in my life, and they were great every time. I actually got to meet John Connolly outside of a club, and I met Dan Lilker as well. I didn't get a picture with Dan, but I did get one with John that my wife took. Let me pull that up for you. Where are you, John? Here he is. Me and the mighty John Connolly. He was everything I thought he would be. I got to hang out with him for a few minutes and bullshit with him. And just a super chill guy, great sense of humor. He's like a fun guy to like hang out with and have a beer with, And I met Dan Lilker that night too, and he was cool as hell. Though he was on his way into the back of the club, and I just didn't have time to take a picture with him. Like he was like running into the back of the club. Hey, hi, how you doing? Big fan. Nice to meet you. Blah blah. So, but Nuclear Assault, they have 6 full lengths. That's it. I wish we got more out of Nuclear Assault. They range from 1986 all the way up to 2005. And, they had some EPs thrown in here or there. And, like I said, I wish we got more output from this band, great stuff. Just, I have a soft spot for the East Coast bands. I'm an East Coast guy. And although I do love the West Coast Bay Area stuff, I love bands like Nuclear Assault and, Overkill and Whiplash and MOD and all that stuff. I love all that stuff. So let's rank them, man. Let's rank these records. There's only 6, like I said. So number 6 from 2005, I'm going with Third World Genocide. The lineup on this record was John Connolly, guitar and vocals, Eric Burke on guitar on this one, Dan Lilker on bass, Glenn Evans on drums. So you got pretty much that classic lineup besides Eric Burke. Now, I did some digging on Eric Burke, and he was with a couple of bands. He was with a band called Lethargy. He was with Brutal Truth for a while with Dan Lilker, and he was with Matricore, which is insane because it's one of the first death metal bands I've ever seen. It was Matricore, Sorrow, and Immolation that I saw in a club in the years, like 1991, back when Dawn of Possession first came out. I had no idea he was in Matricore, but there he is, Eric Burke. This record was produced by Tim Kukos and Glenn Evans of the band. Tim is in an active band. He's a musician. He's in a band called Red Right Hand. There you go. Say that fast 10 times. He's done stuff for Malaya Rage, CIA, which was the side project of Glenn Evans and John Connolly. Cover art by Kevin Mead. And what do I like about this record? Third World Genocide is pretty good. The title track, Price of Freedom, is pretty good. Wine and Cheese is kind of a fun track. It's got like a punk vibe to it, pretty funny. That's another thing about Nuclear Assault is they could be really serious, and then there's tracks where they don't take themselves too seriously at all. Pretty cool. Fractured Minds is pretty good. Eroded Liberty, I think, is a really underrated song off of this. That could have been off of Survive or Game Over. Like it has that old school vibe to it that I dig about that track. So I rank that at number 6. Here's the record, by the way. Third World Genocide. Most of these I have just on CD. I only have one Nuclear Assault on vinyl. They're not easy to come by, I can tell you that. So hopefully they could get some of these in fucking circulation again, man. I would love to collect all the vinyls of Nuclear Assault, but right now I just got to stick to the CDs. So that was my number 6, Third World Genocide. Let's go to 1991. This is my number 5, and it's out of order. This one, you have the classic Nuclear Assault lineup. John Connolly, guitars and vocals. Anthony Bramante, guitar. Dan Lilker on bass. Glenn Evans on drums. Produced by Casey McMacklin and Glenn Evans. Casey McMacklin he engineered Peace Cells, Megadeth. He engineered Violence's Eternal Nightmare. He did stuff for Dark Angel and the Crumbsuckers. He's done some really great stuff. Cover art by Neil Kellerhouse. So that's pretty cool. I don't know much about him, what he's done. I couldn't really find anything else, but out of order. Let's take a look at it. Here's the CD on that one. Sign in Blood, pretty good. Fashion Junkie, pretty good. Too Young to Die, pretty good. Preaching to the Death, I think, is probably my favorite track off of this one. Solid record. You know, they did a cover on this, Ballroom Blitz by Sweet, which is, it's not a favorite track of mine. Ballroom Blitz, I think of like Wayne's World when the fucking girl was doing the cover. I don't know. I guess it's a fun song. I just don't really care for it all that much. So I got Out of Order on at number 5 for me. And this was 1991 on IRS Records. So Out of Order. What do we got next? Number 4. There it is. Something Wicked from 1993. This is the first time that I saw Nuclear Assault was on this tour. And I saw this exact lineup. I saw there's John Connolly, guitar and vocals, Glenn Evans on drums, a guy named Dave DiPietro on guitar, and on bass, Scott Metaxas. And those two guys, Dave DiPietro and Scott Metaxas, were from a rock band in New Jersey called Prophet. Dave DiPietro was also in CIA with Glenn Evans. And I think he's actively a member of TT Quick, if I'm not mistaken. So cover on this one by Hugh Brown, who's done stuff for like Dio and Deep Purple. Let's take a look at Something Wicked. Here we go. Title track is really good. 10 out of 10 for me, Something Wicked. Another Violent End, really good. Behind Glass Walls, really good. It's a fair record. You know, these bottom 3 Nuclear Assault records are all decent records. They're all records that you should probably own, but they're not setting the house on fire, if you know what I mean. So 1993, Something Wicked. You know, let me know what you think of that one. Let's go to number 3. Now we're getting to the real shit for Nuclear Assault. And here it is. I'm going Game Over. Now, number 3 and number 2, I had a tough time with. Number 1 was easy for me. 3 and 2 could have gone either way. I went with Game Over, number 3, but it could have easily been my number 2. Game Over came out in 1986 on Combat Records. The lineup was the classic lineup. John Connolly, guitar and vocals. Anthony Bramante, guitar. Dan Lilker on bass. Glenn Evans on drums. Produced by Alex Perialis, who we talked about many times on the channel. Cover art by Ed Repka. I know we've talked about many times on the channel. Here it is. On this version, it also has the Plague EP that I got. So, pretty cool. Let's see. Track 13 was Brain Death. That was also on the Brain Death EP that came out a little bit before this one. There was a cassette-only track called Lesbians, which I don't know if it's on here or not. It's not on mine. It was a cassette-only, Lesbians. And then on the CD and vinyl version, you got the Mr. Softy theme, like that ice cream kind of theme, which is actually pretty damn funny. But 1986 is Game Over, man. Phenomenal record. Let's see what we got. Let's look at the tracks. Live, Suffer, Die, amazing. Sin, amazing. Cold Steel, amazing. Betrayal, amazing. Radiation Sickness, 10 out of 10. Hang the Pope, 10 out of 10. After the Holocaust, really good. You got the Mr. Softy theme on this one. It was a fun track. Stranded in Hell, super underrated. 10 out of 10 for me, Stranded in Hell. Nuclear War, really good. Vengeance, really good. Brain Death, really good. Game Over, Nuclear Assault, my number 3. Go to my number 2. Where are you at? Here it is. Survive. Came out in 1988 on IRS Records. Again, the classic lineup: John Connolly, guitar, vocals; Anthony Bramante, guitar; Dan Lilker, bass; Glenn Evans on drums. Produced by Randy Burns. We've talked about him many times on the channel. Cover art by Sean Rogers, who's done stuff for like Dark Angel, Sinister. He did the cover art for that band Purgatory from Ohio. They're like a thrash band called Tied to the Tracks. That's an underrated record. Check that out. This is a great one, man. Now you had Fight to Be Free and Equal Rights. They were also on the Fight to Be Free single from earlier in the year. So I think I have that here. That's the EP. But here's Survive. Killer fucking record, man. Survive is. Let's look at the tracks on here. Man, one thing that stands out is Brainwash to me. I mean, you got Rise from the Ashes opener, 10 out of 10. You got Brainwash, 10 out of 10. I mean, Nuclear Assault were way ahead of their time on this one. This is 1988. Tracks like Brainwash are about how the fucking media is mind controlling everybody. I mean, look at the lyrics on that. Like, damn. Like, television, the idiot tube helps to raise our children as fools. Watch the news, say what they want you to see. Our awareness is limited by network VPs. Like, that whole track is just, you know, everything we're living right now. It's pretty cool. So, Brainwash, 10 out of 10. F Sharp, really good. Survive, really good. Fight to Be Free, really good. The Great Depression, really good. Equal Rights, really good. Technology, really good. You had a Zeppelin cover on this one, Good Times, Bad Times. And, you know, I love this record. Nuclear Assault, Survive, 1988. Let's go to number 1. You know what it is. I know what it is. This was my first Nuclear Assault record back in the day. I remember the day I bought it. It's in my local record store in the cassette section, just browsing through new stuff. And I saw that cover and it like screamed thrash metal to me. Like, I knew it was thrash metal. As soon as I picked it up, I'm like, damn, I'm going to pick this up. Brought it home, put it on my cassette deck, and I was like, boom, mind blown. Like, first 2 tracks, you know, new song, Critical Mass. Like, oh, like the production is like spot on this one. Randy Burns actually produced this one too. Like, the production is perfect. It like screams of attitude, and I love that about some of these old thrash records. The lineup on this one: John Connolly, guitar, vocals; Anthony Bramante, guitar; Dan Lilker, bass; and Glenn Evans on drums. A classic lineup. This came out in 1989 on In Effect Records. Music videos for Critical Mass and Trail of Tears. This is one of my favorite thrash records ever. Here's my CD. And actually, this is the only one I have on vinyl. And don't get this version, okay? This version sounds terrible on vinyl. It sounds hollow. It sounds tinny. It's the worst sounding vinyl that I own. Like, I'm not bullshitting you. Like, don't get this one. This is on Century Media too. Like, it's just, you know, I mean, amazing record, but don't get this version. I mean, it sounds like shit, honestly. So let's look at the tracks on this one. I mean, new song, 10 out of 10. Critical Mass, 10 out of 10. Inherited Hell, really good. Surgery, really good. Emergency, really good. You got Funky Noise on this one, which is, a kind of a fun track. F Sharp, Wake Up, really good. When Freedom Dies, really good. Search and Seizure, killer. Torture Tactics, really good. You got Mother's Day. That track just cracks me up. Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day. And it ends with Trail of Tears. Amazing track. Like, just, this record is so goddamn good. It's unreal. So, Nuclear Assault, Handle with Care. There's Nuclear Assault ranked top to bottom. Like I said, only 6 full lengths for this band. I wish we had more. They had 3 EPs. They had the Brain Death EP in 1986, the Plague EP in 87, and then they had the Pounder EP. This was actually their last release from 2015. It's a fair EP. Like I said, I wish we could have got more, but I mean, I love Nuclear Assault, always did. And incidentally, if you go on Vincent Crowley's channel, right, we did a video together a week or so ago on bands from the 80s, the mid 80s. And a comment on that was from a guy named Mike Bogush. He was the original Nuclear Assault guitar player, like one of the original member, like even before Game Over came out. So go on that video. I'm going to link it below, actually. Go on that video and check out his comment. And I think that's pretty rad that he commented on that video. And he said, I'm the original guitar player from Nuclear Assault. So check that video out. I'll link it below. So that's all I got. Happy fucking Valentine's Day. Is it Friday yet? No, tomorrow's Thursday. And then Friday and the weekend. I'm ready for the weekend already. I got to be honest with you. So have a killer rest of your Valentine's Day. And I'll see you guys again real soon.